Now we're going to talk about together the question of what is death. Again, please, if I may point out, one doesn't know what it means, right? You can begin with that. You may have speculated about it. You may have read about it. You may have had your own conclusions about it. But actually, you have never realized what death is. Obviously not. So when you are looking at this question of death, don't bring in your second-hand knowledge. Because we are, all of us are second-hand human beings. Or third-hand or umpteenth hand. So, can we look at this problem as though it was not know a thing about it? Then we can find out. But if you come to it with a great deal of knowledge, then you are then you are informing death what it is, which is so absurd. But whereas one comes to it totally not knowing, then you begin to inquire quite differently, right? You begin with uncertainty. And therefore, you end up, when there is uncertainty, you end up with complete certainty. But we are certain first and end up in doubt. So we are starting not knowing whether it is a shoddy little affair called death. One has seen 1,000 deaths. One has known death of someone very close to you, or the death of millions through atomic bombs, Hiroshima and all the rest of the horror man had perpetuated on other human beings in the name of peace, in the name of ideologies. They're all ideologies. So doubt, put away every form of ideology, because they are dangerous illusions, political, socialist, and so on, or capitalist. So, without any ideology, without any conclusion, not knowing, we are going together, find out. Which is, what is death? What is the thing that dies? What is the thing that terminates? And also in inquiring, one sees if there is something that is continuous, then it becomes mechanical. If there is an ending to everything, there's a beginning, new beginning. I wonder if you see this. So, we are inquiring without fear. And if you are afraid, then you cannot possibly find out what the immense thing called death is. It must be a most extraordinary thing. To find out what is death, we must also inquire not what is after death, but what is before death. Surely that's much more important, isn't it? We never do that. We never inquire what is living. You follow? Death is coming, but what is living? Is this living, this enormous suffering, fear, anxiety, sorrow, all the rest of it? Is that living? And because we cling to that, we're afraid of the other. You know? Right? So before we ask, what is death? We must also ask, what is living? Because if you don't know what is living, you won't know what is death. They must go together, apparently. If I know what is, if one can find out what is living, what is the full meaning of living, the totality of living, the wholeness of living. Because then the brain is capable of understanding the wholeness of death. But we are inquiring into the meaning of death without inquiring into the meaning of life. You understand? I wonder if you... Now, when one asks what is the meaning of life, you immediately have conclusions. See, it is this, some ideology. Right? You give it a significance according to your conditioning. If you are an idealist, I hope you are not, if you are an idealist, you give the ideological significance according to your conditioning, according to your conclusions, according to what you have read, what you have thought, and so on. So is life, living, a conclusion, an ideology? You follow? Come on. I hope you're doing this actually, not theoretically, because then you will see if you are not giving significance to life, if you are not saying life is this and this and this, or something else, an ideal, then you are free to... See what happens when you are free of ideologies? Then you are free of systems. Political, religious, social, the social ideology, and so on. So we ask, before we inquire into the meaning of what is death, we're asking this: what is living? Is what we are living? Our constant struggle with each other, trying to understand each other, trying to understand the speaker. You understand? He has said this, and what does he mean? And is that living? Is it living according to a book? According to some psychologists? So, if you banish all that, totally, then we'll begin with what is. What is our living has become a tremendous torture, a tremendous battle between us, between human beings, man, woman, neighbor, whether it's close or very far. It's a conflict in which there is occasional freedom to look at the blue sky, to see something lovely and enjoy it and be happy for a while. But the cloud of struggle begins soon. And all this we call living. Going to the church, doing Mass, the Mass there, and the traditional repetition, a meaningless repetition, accepting some ideology, some figure, follow. This is what we call living. And we are so committed to this, right? We accept it. We are not discontented, complete with all that. So discontentment has its significance.